following paid commercial program is brought to you by TD Wealth.
Welcome to Money Talk. I'm Kim Parley. Thanks so much for joining us. Our next guests have come out with a new paper to talk about how artificial intelligence, AI, is going to change how we work and how that is going to dramatically change the opportunities that lie ahead for investors. So much so that they state that AI is destined to be the key driver of equity markets over the next decade. They say it's the fourth wave of digital technology after PCs, internet, and mobile, and call AI the new macro. Joining me now, Bill Priest, Executive Chairman and Co-Chief Investment Officer at TD Epoch, and Kevin Hebner, Global Investment Strategist, also at TD Epoch. Hello, gentlemen. Nice to have you both join us today. Just to let people know, we're going to be going back and forth between you, but I'm going to ask Bill to set us up, if we could, too, and just give us an overview of the thesis. You talk about in the thesis that there are four key implications. Just maybe briefly tell us what they are so that we can dig into each one.
Well, essentially, I think we're going to see a significant change on the profitability of corporations in the sense that if you can substitute technology for labor or physical assets, you can improve your return on those assets. AI will facilitate that. So the way to think about this, if I can hold my revenues constant and substitute technology and technology enhanced by AI, I will have lower labor content and I will have higher profit margins. Similarly, if I can also substitute technology, and to some extent that could be enhanced by AI, if I can substitute that for assets, my sales per dollar of assets will go up, assuming I can hold my revenues. AI accelerates this, what we call substitution of bits for atoms. And this has been going on for a while, but the outlook for companies that can embrace technology as a substitute for labor and physical assets, they are going to be in good shape. And one of the questions we like to ask of management, and in addition to how do you allocate capital, you need a business strategy for the digital age. And AI makes that even more important today than it did before.
There's a lot of things in that statement, Bill, that are pretty loaded. And I know we talk about, the labor market, the efficiencies that we're going to see, although I think we'll get into the implications in just a second. Productivity, sector concentration, and the free cash flow generation that you're talking about. How far along do you think we are in this AI journey? Is this just the beginning?
It's just the beginning. In many respects, I think chatbox, GTV is where the iPhone was when it came out in 2008. We are in the very early stages of the application and usage of AI.
Kevin, bringing you in too, let's talk a bit about the labor market. Bill mentioned that, and let's just talk about how AI will be disruptive to the labor market. I think a lot of people are scared that just be a lot of jobs will go away. And I actually think what's quite surprising when I look at this is you actually talk about, the impact, maybe this is medium term, longer term, is you're going to see overall employment and real wages to rise. But maybe just take us through how you see AI impacting labor.
Thanks, Kim. On your question earlier on where we are in the development of AI, actually one of our traders was asking me that just this morning, and we're still in the top of the first, so it is just getting going. In terms of the impact on the labor market, it's going to be highly disruptive. You can think that for about 80% of workers, 10% of their tasks are going to be directly affected by AI. And this is similar to what's been seen since 1980, for example, with the IT wave. And more so for about 20% of workers, you're going to have 50% of their tasks directly affected. So that's a lot of workers. In the US, that's about 30 million people. In Canada, that would be about 4 million people that are going to have more than half of their job directly impacted by AI. So it's a very big deal, but it's very similar to the process that we saw from 1980 with IT, or going back further from 1890 with electricity, going back even further from 1790 with the steam engine. So we've been through these waves before, and each time there is a lot of dislocation. This might be more difficult because it's happening faster, but ultimately there will be lots of new jobs. And in the sectors that are being most affected, for example, healthcare is one of the most affected sectors. We think healthcare employment over the next decade would actually go up about 20%. It's already about 13% of the U.S. labor force. So there's a lot of room for that to increase. Education. And when you think about it, doctors, nurses, teachers, it's not like we think we have too many of these now. So AI offers this nice tool, it's expertise in a box, to help people become even better than they are at their current jobs. And then jobs will change a lot with the advent of AI.
It's interesting. I mean, you have a list within this report. You talk about the jobs and you mentioned some that would be affected. I think one of the things that I really was struck by was you have a quote in the article, I believe from Larry Summers, who talks about, a world that's been defined by IQ, your ability to, cognitive processing, is that it's going to be important to have EQ than IQ. I mean, I think you put that in there for discussion, people kind of see if they agree with it. But tell me about that more, because that, does that just mean we're outsourcing our smarts to AI and it's just going to take care of it all?
Well, I think it's interesting. So, for example, if you think education, and it looks like education is going to be disrupted. The most education's been disrupted maybe since the time of Athens, because we've been doing chalk and talk for a long time. But essentially with AI and things like Khan and Meagle that Khan Academy are offering, each student gets their own tutor, each teacher gets their own teaching assistant, and the way that we teach and the way that students proceed through lessons and the way we structure that can change quite a bit, and that should be terrific. Healthcare is another sector that's going to change a lot. So we'll have radiologists working with AI, and because they can see a lot more in images, you're going to see an increased demand for radiologists because we're going to learn a lot more for that. Doctors, one of the early applications, many doctors spend 2 hours a day on transcription. So speaking about what they want to do and then transcribing it, they can have an AI tool do that in 15 minutes. So that means that they will have more time with patients to do their diagnosis and do their explanations with patients. So ultimately, this will be playing in, certainly with EQ, but we do have this expertise in a box with AI, and the things that we can do that AI can't, certainly EQ and empathy is at the top of the list.
Wow. All right. Well, stay with us when we come back. We're going to have more with Kevin Hebner and Bill Priest. We're talking about AI and how it's the new macro. We're going to dig into the next few implications right after the short break.